Hello, I'm Tommy Moore from the Bartitsu Lab, and in this video we're going to be looking at some of the practical and philosophical differences in lead hand hitting through some of the ages of bare knuckle and modern early gloved boxing. Now, as with all things boxing, it's hugely defined also by taste. If you take a jab from Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, Floyd Mayweather, they're all jabbing very, very well, they're all jabbing extremely effectively, but they look hugely different and their aims are hugely different as befits their morphology, how they fight, their temperament, their skills. All of these things vary. So obviously always take these kind of things with a pinch of salt because you will dictate how well these things perform for you personally. But I'd say the main philosophical difference in lead hand blows is that before the Marquis of Queensberry rules, essentially we're looking at the lead hand as a smasher. It is a primary tool that crashes in, causes damage as well as pain. It's something to knock you off your arse, cause you to be knocked out. It's a serious damaging shot, a smasher, a jolt. And that's why we typically refer to early shots in this main as a lead-off. Historically they were known as a lead-off and they were designed to do damage. And as you start to move later and gloves become prolific and then gloves get larger and larger and larger, we start to see the lead hand blow go from being a smasher to a stinger, essentially something which stings and it hurts and it disrupts, but it sets up a better shot or a bigger shot with the right hand or with a left hook, but it's designed really as a entree to something else, a can opener to something else. And it's quite interesting to see why that philosophical split would have happened, going from a particularly lead hand dominant style of boxing. If you read any historical boxing books, an inordinate amount of time is dedicated to your ability to fence with the fists, to use your lead off scientifically, destructively. As you move later, it just becomes one of many tools, and the lead hand is often designed to be a can opener for something else. So let's look at some of the historical differences. So if you're going way back in the day and you're looking at the lead hand as a jolt, as a lead off, as a smasher, often it comes with much greater footwork than we see with the lead hand today. So for example, it may well come with a drop step motion, essentially a dropping and lunging style transference of mass. Just before my foot hits the ground, the hand hits the target. I'm dropping my mass and my weight into the opponent. I'm also lowering my headline, so again I'm a little bit safer from shots coming in because I've tucked my chin and dropped my head, so hopefully it's gone over my head or hit a less vulnerable point than my jaw. And then obviously we've managed to gain range, but we're going to put in front of that a nice nasty weapon. So historically a lead off may well be something like this. We drop our weight in, I'll just shuffle back, we drop our weight in, typically it's with a vertical fist. It crunches in like so, and we're transferring the mass into the opponent. So a typical lead off, from here, smash, straight into the opponent. So its characteristics are mass transfer and putting mass behind it, therefore power, and also commitment. It's a committed shot. I want to knock you down or knock you out with this lead off. So it's an important tool, and therefore the guides of the time attribute a lot of time to it. But it's designed to crash in. Even if we're very close, I will still do the step. It's harder with Bob because there's a solid base. But on a human, I can step around or between the legs. So even close up, I can still apply that driving pressure. So I don't always have to be a million miles away. I can be quite close and still use that drop step as a way to put my mass into the shot. So as a smashing shot, the lead off is designed. Look at the rule sets of the time. If you look at, pre-Marquis of Queensberry, if I knock you off your feet, I win that round. Rounds aren't time. Rounds are when I knock you off your feet. So anatomically, this lead off, if I can knock your head beyond your ass, I can knock you to the ground, which is more conducive to me winning rounds or causing you greater trauma because I've knocked you to the floor. Anyone that's boxed knows that when you get up off the floor, it's a lot of effort. It's a lot of effort getting up again. It feels awful. So if I can knock your head beyond your backside, you fall down. There's a chance that you might injure yourself when you fall down, in which case I win the fight. It's going to exhaust you getting up again, in which case I win the fight. Or at the very least, I'm getting so much mass and power behind that shot that I can knock you out with a lead hand. And then that was, a strong focus on early pugilism. As we start to move closer and closer to the gloved era and the gloves get bigger and bigger, we stop seeing this lead-off motion and we start to see the lead hand as more of a stinger. So even where it's still thrown vertically, it's done so much more transactionally. It will just pop out. Depending on some of the sausage, you see a bit more shoulder in it than you do today. So turning out of the shoulder, you do see this. But in reality, it doesn't come with the crashing, smashing flow of a traditional lead-off. So it's a stinging shot. It's designed to cause facial trauma. You start to see blows going more to the nose, to the kind of general maxillofacial region, as opposed to specifically the button or specifically the solar plexus. It's a lot vaguer in its intention. And it's designed to allow me to then set up a bomb of a right hand or to pivot off and fire a hooking shot. But either way, we start to see the lead hand become a can opener as opposed to a sledgehammer, which is, it is interesting and is valid. But I would say that as we start to get more flippant with the lead hand, as we start to turn this more into a stinging style shot, we start to lose some of the knuckle discipline, which makes the lead off a very good tool for bare knuckle. We start to get a bit vaguer with where we hit, how we hit, starts to become less important. As long as it hurts and it disrupts, its main job is to set up something else for me. So it's interesting to see how this has changed over time. But bear in mind that they're not mutually exclusive. A person looking at historical pugilistic systems today can benefit from firing stinging shots and then, when they wish to, coming in with the more smash-orientated lead-offs. So again, if you're going to practice these things today, yes, absolutely, the lead hand, what we now call the jab, is more transactional. It's still a hyper-optimized tool. It's still a very scientific tool, but its impetus from causing serious damage has dropped. It's more to open up something that does that. But there's nothing stopping you as a modern practitioner today experimenting with these kind of facial damage causing shots. Pop the nose, pop the eye, do this, and then use that same lead hand to start to be a sledgehammer. Pop, 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 wham, and smash that straight in. These are quite good things to have a go with. Compound your historical and your modern shots. Use your modern jab or early modern kind of stinging lead hands, using much of the shoulder extension, and then mix in between these things the drop step lead off, which again carries a lot of mass, a lot of power, a lot of damage you can cause with this stuff. So again, the jab versus the jolt, why choose? Play with them both. They both have amazing benefits. Now, the jolting style shots, the crashing and smashing lead offs, they have fallen out of fashion, but absolutely as modern practitioners, especially if you're practicing pugilism for self-defense, you don't have time to play for rounds. You don't have time to just pop and move, because the longer the time goes on, the more the variables, the more the risk that he's got buddies, he's got weapons, he's got something else. So if you can refine that lead hand to be a man stopper, do it, play with it. It's an exciting field. But make sure you take the time to look at the history of lead hand shots. See how useful they were and how relied upon they were to cause serious and lasting damage, and try and build that into your training. It's a fun philosophical exercise, it's a fun physical exercise, but never be shy on learning how to cause proper damage with your lead hand straight. Give it a go.